Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Dena. I'm an art director, designer, and content creator. So I started my freelance journey as a designer a few years ago, and I've made many mistakes. I want to share what those top 5 mistakes were for me so that you can avoid them, whether you are currently a freelance designer or you're thinking about getting into it, or you're just curious and want to learn more about the freelancing world. So with my schedule, I'm currently not a full-time freelance designer. I do have a 9-to-5 as an art director at a creative agency. And after that 9-to-5, I will usually take on 1 to 2 clients per month for my freelancing business, depending on how busy I am. Now, when most freelancers work with a client, they'll either charge an hourly rate or a flat fixed rate, depending on what the project is about and what both parties agree to, which leads me to my first tip. So tip number 1 is to know your worth and know how to price yourself. In the beginning of my freelance journey, I remember I would price myself so low and even do free work that now that I'm looking back at it, it's really cringy to think about. I was so desperate for any type of client work that I was willing to accommodate and go even lower than what I thought I was worth in order to accommodate for the client needs. And a lot of times clients will see right through that and start running all over you. And I know it's really hard to know how to price yourself and your rates, especially in the beginning of your freelance journey. Now, the most common way freelancers start off is by charging hourly rates first. How to determine your hourly rates will really depend on your costs and living expenses, where you live, how much you pay for creative softwares that you use, how much is your time worth, where's your skill level at, how many years of experience do you have, and what do you have to show for your work. As you get more experience, improve your skill sets, and have more clients that want to work with you, that's when it makes sense to start raising your prices and even start implementing value-based pricing versus charging for hourly rates. Time is such a finite and valuable resource, and we all only have 24 hours in a day. And as you get better, more experienced, more efficient at what you do, you've got to start raising your prices. Otherwise, you're kind of penalizing yourself for working quicker. So you want to make sure that as you gain more experience and increase your skill sets, your value and pricing goes up as well. Now, I have this one particular client where I am comfortable with charging hourly rates for due to the nature of the scope and type of projects I've been doing for them and the fact that it's been on a longer term basis. I don't really mind it, and both I and the client are aligned on the rates. So it really depends on what both parties agree to. But for the most part, I do charge a flat base fee based on what the project is about and what the deliverables are. I think it really comes down to what you and the client are comfortable with and can agree on. Value-based charging is something that will only come through experience and time as you improve your skill sets and you realize that you should be charging for your knowledge and skills and not charging for your time. Another good way to measure when to raise your prices is to evaluate how much time you're clocking in for a particular client. So if you're working crazy hours and there's like no work-life balance, then it's probably time to raise your prices. And again, this is something that will only come through time and experience as you improve your skill sets, build your portfolio, and get better. With this, clients will have more respect for you as a freelance designer because they know that you know what your worth is and you're not willing to settle for just charging a low rate. And over time, as you start implementing value-based pricing, you'll start attracting more of the right type of clients who respect you more as a freelance designer and will start paying you what you're worth because they see the value in you and your time. My second tip is out of all the forms a freelancer can have, I think the most important one that you should have is a contract. The contract should state what you're doing, what the project deliverables are, how many revisions you're going to make, the timeline, and the price. Typically, I give clients up to 3 revisions and then charge more if they're wanting more than 3 revisions, but that is just to avoid them micromanaging you and trying to make endless revisions on the project. I've had that happen to me before when I was starting out and I was doing work for like a family friend, and I didn't think I needed a contract or written agreements or anything like that because I thought the project was going to be pretty quick and straightforward, but it ended up dragging on for a couple of months. And I remember it was just a nightmare because this client would call me at weird hours at the night, telling me to make all these endless revisions. And the thing was, I couldn't say no because I didn't have a written contract or agreements where I could, refer back to and be like, hey, this is what we initially agreed on. So please, if you're gonna have any kind of form, have a contract. I had to learn that lesson the hard way, but it taught me a valuable lesson of having a written agreement so you have something to refer back to in case anything changes or the client tries to say something that was not initially agreed upon. Tip number 3. Have a system in place for all of your freelancing business documents, such as invoices, contracts, proposals, having a place to keep track of your time if you're doing hourly rates, and other freelance documents. In the beginning, I had so much disorganization in my freelance business. I would have documents pretty much everywhere, and I would never keep them organized because I didn't know how to implement a proper system for myself. And I wish I had set a better foundation for my business because it would have made my life so much easier. Thankfully though, there are brands out there that help simplify your freelance business, such as Indy, who also happen to be today's video sponsor. Indy is an all-in-one platform that makes managing your freelance business simple and saves you on so much time. With tools for creating proposals, drafting contracts, sending invoices, and getting paid, Indy covers all of your organizational needs in one place, giving you more time to do what you love. Start off by visiting weareindy.com and create your account. It's free to join, which is super great. So once you create your account, you'll see all these tabs on the left side. Starting from the top, there's a Launchpad tab where you can easily navigate what you want done and create a new action based on what you're trying to achieve. The next tab is the dashboard where you can add and see all of your tasks that you need to get done, your recent documents, projects, invoices, and time tracker. Then there's the People's tab where you can add other people's contact info, whether it's your leads or clients. And then there's the Project tab that shows what projects you're working on, and if you click within that project, you can add certain tasks, documents, and anything else related to the project in one spot. The next part is the Tools section. But here we have the Calendar tab, which shows an overview of all the projects, time track sessions, any events, appointment, tasks, or anything else you want to add. Another plus here is that it also syncs to your Google Calendar. Next is Contracts. They've got pre-made templates so you don't have to go hunt for one on Google and spend time creating your own. And I really like how easy it is to just plug in your info and customize it within the templates. I'm telling y'all, this is such a game changer because all the copy and important legal info is already there, and all you really have to do is just make minor tweaks and adjustments. And similar to the Contracts tab, the Forms and Proposal tabs have pre-made templates for you to go off of as well. And I just remember in the beginning of my freelance journey, I would scour the internet and pull different documents and snippets of legal info from all these different websites. And so having a platform like Indy where they already have all that consolidated for you just makes life so much easier. Continuing on, the next tab in Indy is the Files tab where you can store all of your documents and even consolidate feedback from your clients. Up next, we have the Invoices tab where you can bill your clients and get paid. You can customize the branding in the forms even more by adding your logo, customizing the font, and even changing up the text and colors. You're also able to add custom line items and preview the invoice before you send it off to a client, which is super neat. Next is the Tasks tab where you can list all of your to-dos, you have upcoming, and easily assign it to a certain project. I also really like the visual board view of this too, so you can update the status by dragging it over to the next column. Lastly is the Time Tracker tab where you can log your hours, assign it to a certain project, and even add an invoice to it. There's also this nice little play button too, so you can resume the task and it starts a new entry for you. So as you can see, Indy has all these amazing premium tools for such an affordable price. So if you're interested in using Indy for yourself, be sure to use my referral link in the video description so that you can get 1 month of Indy for free. So tip number 4 is to set aside 25 to 30% of your freelance income because you're going to have to pay for self-employment taxes when tax season comes around. This is the general rule of thumb for how much you should be putting aside since you are self-employed. So just also be sure to factor these costs in as you're pricing your rates. In the beginning, I made the mistake of thinking I would pocket all of the money that I was charging, and I didn't take into account that I would have to eventually be paying taxes as I started to accumulate more money. And tip number 5, never take on any type of client work until you have been paid upfront first, either with a deposit or the full amount. Having the client pay some amount upfront first acts like a deposit to show you that they're serious about doing business with you. So therefore, you're not wasting either of each other's time. And it acts as a security net in case the project doesn't follow through completely. That way you at least got paid for some of your time and effort. A good example of a project that didn't follow through for me was that I had a client reach out to me who wanted to get some design work done. Only halfway through the project, what I had delivered didn't really meet their expectations, regardless of the revisions I made, so they ended up not following through with the project completely. I did require a 50% deposit on that project, but just imagine if I didn't implement that and they weren't satisfied halfway through. I wouldn't have gotten paid for my time and effort. So those are just 5 of my top freelancing tips, things that I wish I knew sooner when I first started my freelance journey. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if it was helpful or insightful, or if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.